back to the Midtown Madness podcast with Peter Hale and Zach Miller. This episode is brought to you by Snap, the phone grip that doesn't suck. Peter, I tell you what, I'm really enjoying the car mount that they sent over to us the last few days. I had to take a back way in Creve Coeur Lake Park last weekend, and it really came through for me for keeping my navigation in front of me so my dumb brain didn't get turned around at 5 a.m. So, guys, go out, make sure you support them for supporting the podcast. Head over to Snap, take a look at what they got to offer, and when you check out, use promo code Midtown15 for 15% off your first order. Peter, we're back. It's been too long. I was visibly excited to get back into the podcast leading up to this weekend.
Yeah, me too. You know, the more time we spend off, the more we've got to talk about. But you had a valid excuse. How did the triathlon go?
Well, I'll be brief because I'm sure listeners tune into us for our basketball talk and not our soccer talk and not the triathlon talk. But it was fun. It was really cool. Finished in the top third of all competitors. Finished with a time of 2 hours and 44 minutes and some seconds. So I beat 2:45, which was kind of, I guess in my head made sense as a goal. I never really had a goal for time, but I just wanted to do really well. And I think 2:45, I swam better than I expected. I was really happy with swimming because I've never been in a lake like that to swim. So to swim. So yeah, thanks for asking. And let's dive into let's not belabor the listeners with my nonsense. Basketball. What we got a full schedule, man. It's getting here.
It's one of those things I wait for. I feel like I wait forever every year, and then it comes, and I'm just like, I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. I'm so ready. It's so good to see a full slate of dates and names on paper.
Yeah, I'm gosh, I can't believe we're talking about basketball. It's September 12th. Like, summer went by so fast. We're still learning about some game times and TV details to come, which kind of bothers me because I jump the gun every year when I add it to my calendar, which is an awesome feature. If you haven't added it, used that feature on the SLU Billiken's website to add it to your Google or Apple calendar, you can go in and do that and it'll just download it all. Like, you don't have to put it in manually or anything like that. But I jumped the gun because there's no time. So I never know exactly what time. And that's one of the more useful things about having it on the calendar.
We've got about a third of the time so far. And we've got, it seems like we've got about half, maybe a little over half in terms of who TV network partners are going to be for any given game. But we're getting there. Those details, they kind of slowly and quietly creep out over the next couple months. So anyway, it's good to at least just have the dates out.
Does anything stand out to you specifically? Anything you're excited about as far as the TV games, national TV?
I mean, the amount is good. There's always more. Some are just uncertain until you get closer. Like we had that kind of 11th hour assist from Chris May in the athletic department, getting that Tulane game, was that last year or the year before?
Yeah.
On TV, and we didn't know until like the day of or the day before. So something like, I don't know, the Drake game in Vegas could kind of be that game this year. You never know. But no, I mean, this is great. There's a lot on CBS Sports Network. We've got a lot more on NBC than we usually have. And then once the A10 season rolls around, there's a lot on ESPN too. What we don't know yet, and we probably will know closer, is which ones all get picked up by ESPN Plus. I would expect that to be just about everything that doesn't have a network next to it right now. At least I'm hopeful that they'll do like they did last year and pick all those up.
So one of the interesting aspects is NBC. I am a little upset that NBC is dropping sports for the most part. I think they're completely eliminating the NBC Sports channel. I'm not sure what they're going to do. I know they're losing the Premier League. I don't know what the A10 will do, but I love their production value. I've always think I think it's some of the best in the game. But it's interesting. Some of these they all say NBC Universal. So conceivably these will be NBC family of networks is essentially what it's saying. And then one that says NBC Universal Digital, which Billiken fans, you may want to look into Peacock, because that is probably what that Belmont game will be on.
That's where the Premier League games have gone, so I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I guess we'll just kind of have to find out when we're closer. I'm not quite sure what NBC Universal means.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's just going to be the family of, it'll be on like NBC Sports, or it won't. I doubt it'll be on Channel 5 or whatever your local affiliate is. But I'm guessing it'll be either NBC Sports, maybe USA. I can't say I would expect USA. That would shock me.
Right.
But definitely it'll be on NBC Sports, at least if we're talking NBC Universal. Most likely, if it says digital, it's probably Peacock.
Right.
Boston College. We'll see here. Well, I'm looking at it now. Boston College has NBC Sports Network. So I really don't have any idea what is going to, that's, yeah, I'm just going to let that one go.
I mean, that's still on this side of January 1st. So they might be sunsetting that at the end of the year or something. I need to read more into it. So, you know, it's not like it's going to go dark tomorrow. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be one of those things that's, you know, as soon as we find out details as games get close, you know, we'll post them on Twitter. And people always talk about it on the Billikens.com message board too. So
I always laugh when people ask like questions about like things that, like, if you don't know, nobody knows. Like, that's one of those things. It's like, no, if it hasn't been posted here, no. Okay, then nobody knows. Like, if it hasn't been posted here, unless it's some sort of crazy scandal, like, you know, it's going to be posted before you know anything about it. So, or anybody else knows anything about it. So nobody's keeping anything from anybody.
Yeah. We'll let you know as soon as we find out.
You are excited about a certain game this week, or this year.
I don't think ever since we've joined the A10 has Duquesne been on a weekend. It's been like a Wednesday night every time we play there. And they've normally been a home and home partner too. And that's driven me crazy because I only live 4 hours from there in Cincinnati. So that's aside from Dayton, that's the easiest place for me to go get a road game. So finally we have Duquesne on a weekend, and I'm thrilled. We've also got Richmond on a Friday. My brother just moved to Richmond, so I'm kind of excited to maybe go down there for a long weekend. That one's later in the season. And then, other than that, I mean, you know, I think it's a nice balance to the A10 schedule. Yeah.
How do you feel about Dayton on a Tuesday night at Dayton?
You know, for me personally, just me, it's not that big a deal. It's not ideal for, you know, the fact that I have 2 young kids that that need like dinner and bath and bed, and I'm just going to skip all of that and drive up to Dayton for the night. But you know, it's a bummer I normally have friends come in town that weekend and catch the game. It's usually a weekend game. It's been on a weeknight before. I definitely remember a couple other times that I've driven up there myself and gone. I guess the good news for SLU fans is we do have them at home on a Saturday. That's normally a pretty good draw. Not a Mardi Gras game this year. We're out at Rhode Island for Mardi Gras this year, but that one's always been a Mardi Gras game. So yeah, I don't know. Not ideal for a Tuesday night to me, but I guess it's an ESPN thing.
I think I've always been on the opposite end of that Mardi Gras. Like, people always loved the Mardi Gras game, and I always I always want to go out on Mardi Gras, but I want to go to the game too. Like, I have to go to the game, and I always lose track of my party anyway. Like, so it just makes it worse. Like, you're already you're building into a place that you're gonna lose your friends already.
Yeah.
To leave them. So it's kind of a Mardi Gras killer in a way. Unless you had your whole party's going to the game. So I'm iffy unless it's like a 7 o'clock, you know, game or whatever. But I hated that like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock game. Except George Mason was quite enjoyable the other year. That Mardi Gras game was fun for me.
You know, I don't, if you're really doing the full Mardi Gras thing, you know, in my experience back in my early 20s, we rarely made it to 7 p.m. So an afternoon game was a good way to sort of get us out of there and
That's fair. That's
come back to
fair.
reality a little bit.
Uh,
But you know, I like that we finished the regular season with VCU at home. It seems like it could be a nice marquee game to finish the season.
Absolutely. I love that actually. I haven't had much of a chance to get into the weeds on this schedule, sorry to say. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. I always like that late game VCU home. The game we kicked their butts here, was it 2 years ago or 3 years? Two?
I
It
think
was
too.
two.
The
Yeah.
COVID year really messes me up in terms of last season's schedule being so such a scramble. It really throws me off. But I think it was 2 years ago.
I want to say it was the night before like Mardi Gras.
It was 2 years ago because we finished on a 5-game win streak and then had the whole A10 tournament upended. That's right, and we had beaten them by double digits. So that was a great game actually. The other thing I like about this A10 schedule specifically is we've had seasons where we start with like 5. I think this happened a few years ago where we start with 5 like kind of easier teams, you know, like we'll have like a Fordham, St. Joe's, you know, maybe you throw a LaSalle or somebody in there, and we had kind of like an easy start, and then the reality of the schedules catches up with you. This schedule it's pretty balanced when you look at it, in terms of how good I think the other teams will be. It's not too front or back loaded, you know. We don't have long road swings or anything like that, so I think it's a good balanced schedule.
Yeah, I'm really pumped just to get basketball going again, and I hope we have 10,600 inside Chaffetz. But that's a conversation for another podcast and another
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Recruiting news for Phil Forte, man, he is everywhere. He is putting feet to the pavement, and he's working it, man.
Yeah, he's definitely been all over Texas, you know, hitting open gyms and kind of seeing some recruits play. So a couple of offers in the 2023 class that I know he's seen, because they or their coaches have thanked him for coming out. Drew Steffi, he's our latest offer. It's been a few weeks. He's a 2023 shooting guard, and then Finley Bizjack, whose name we've already commented on how much we like that. Is another one down in Texas. We've got 10 offers out to the 2023 class so far. Half are to Texas players, so he's really tearing it up down there. And I don't think we've made any new offers since this recruiting period opened up, but there's you know, we're getting out to see a lot of players. I know the other coaches too. Forte has just kind of been a little his trail's been a little easier to follow on social media as the coaches have thanked him and stuff like that. But yeah, they're out there, they're recruiting, and lots of exciting things to come.
Let's talk about players we know are coming to SLU that are going to be Billikens. Two of them are playing in the Ramey Fall League. What can you tell us about this Ramey Fall League, and what can you tell us about Nick Kramer and gosh, I didn't put in the notes, and so I'm blanking.
Kellen Thames,
Yes,
yeah.
Kellen Thames. Thank you.
Yeah, and he actually had a good look him up on Twitter. He had a really nice highlight package that they put together this weekend for him. Yeah, so the Ramey Fall League, they played at Cardinal Ritter High School, so right by SLU, and they play it every year. It goes about I think it'll wrap up in just like a month from now, so it's like 4 weekends. I think it goes 4 or 5 weekends, and anyway, it's what they'll do is put together teams of like 10 players, and they name them all after NBA teams, and they try and mix up, you know, freshmen to seniors, but they're all local players, basically local regional players who come in and play in this thing. And so you might have, you know, Kramer on one team and Thames on another, and they'll play with a couple other seniors, juniors, sophomores, and freshmen who are good high school players from the St. Louis area. So when you look at the whole roster of this thing, pretty much every local player who's a good player and doesn't otherwise have commitments, you know, to other events, will play in this. So it's a great showcase. It's run by Terrence Ramey, who's Courtney Ramey's dad. Courtney Ramey, who who went down to Texas, really good player from Webster Groves, and he's an AAU coach and just all around basketball coach, runs camps. So he's the one who actually runs the league. That's why they call it the Ramey Fall League. But definitely look that up on social media. Check out what Thames and Kramer are doing, and they should be two of the better players in the whole event. But yeah, plenty of other younger local players to keep an eye on in there for sure.
A lot of news across the country, tangentially related to St. Louis University. There's a lot of moving and shaking going on among conferences. Talk to me about the big, most important movements that have happened in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, so it's been big news where I live here in Cincinnati, just about a mile away from the campus of University of Cincinnati. They're one of 4 teams that are officially heading to the Big 12, along with BYU, Houston, and Central Florida. So that's 3 teams from the American, and then BYU, which is independent in football, and then they're in Gonzaga's basketball conference for all other sports, the West Coast Conference. So they're all heading to the Big 12, kind of as a response of Texas and Oklahoma heading to the SEC in a couple of years. The American is one of those, in terms of basketball and the other sports. We'll put it in basketball terms. The American is kind of that conference that's right outside all the power conferences, kind of like the Mountain West and the A10. We're just in that next tier down, and now that they've kind of been gutted at the top, you're losing 3 of your stronger programs, and they're going to have to replace them, basically from the bottom. So there's some questions about whether those teams will come from Conference USA or the Sun Belt. And then the people have talked about a possible partnership between those conferences to kind of align their best interests for football. But I mean, my read on it is that football is going to drive all of this. I mean, do you agree with me there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that puts SLU in a shit position as well, as far as trying to take advantage of some of this chaos. What do you see as far as St. Louis University and how they could, what can they do, and what do you think they will do?
I mean, for now, when this happens, automatically the A10 and Mountain West become the best non-power conferences in basketball. And that's even with Memphis and Wichita State staying in the American. The rest of the American, SMU is good sometimes. Temple really hasn't been good since they've kind of shifted their focus to football and drained all their resources chasing it. There are some decent programs left in that conference, but it's not as good with Cincinnati and Houston especially leaving, and along with Central Florida, who's kind of been getting stronger slowly. So SLU probably should just stay put. I don't think the Mountain West is going to see a huge shakeup unless the Big 12 decides to expand some more and take somebody out of there along with Memphis, a couple of years down the road, once Texas and Oklahoma are actually gone. I think SLU, the bottom line for SLU is they've just got to keep good relationships with all the A10, and especially the programs we like in the A10, like Dayton, are strong partners there. And keep an eye on if Belmont and Loyola and programs like that try to do anything. But honestly, I mean, those conferences aren't being impacted by this. So, it's just going to be driven by football. I think we probably need to watch like the independent teams like UConn and UMass is one that could kind of be a wrench in all of this, honestly, if they decide to devote more resources chasing football.
Yeah, it's going to be wild. It really does. I mean, does it bother you that SLU really doesn't have a dog? Like, they don't have, like, they're never out ahead of this kind of thing, and it always feels like we're kind of reactive.
Well, yeah, but that's the reality of the situation. I mean, we can try and be as proactive as we want, but nobody's going to budge unless it's a football program. Like the A10 can go and try and recruit stronger programs, but anybody else that we would want to come to the league is going to watch what the football programs are doing. So maybe now's the time you pick up the phone and start calling Wichita State or somebody like that, or maybe even Belmont and Loyola and Temple. But it really, a lot of it comes down, it just comes down to, what do Temple and UMass and schools like that want to do with football? Do they want to go all in and commit and try and be a high level football program? Or do they kind of want to put it on the back burner and go with sort of the less expensive sports? I really don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for sure. But yeah, that's about all. Anything left with SLU basketball that came across the newswire that I may have missed?
Not really, not in terms of conference realignment. I think we've just kind of got to stay the course and be proactive. And I really hope that the A10 conferences, being smart and looking out for their collective best interests the best they can, because you don't want to slide behind. Whatever the American does, I don't see how that conference can really get stronger. But you don't want to slide too far behind somebody like the Mountain West or something like that. With the A10 really needs to brand itself as that best, after the Big East, the best power conference, I should say the best non-power conference basketball program or conference. That's what we want to be.
Moving on to women's basketball, I think that kind of ends what we got come out in the last couple of weeks for men's basketball. Women's basketball, I believe, dropped their schedule, or did we already talk? They have not dropped the conference schedule yet. We just got the
conference yet, just the non-conference, and we touched on that last time. It looks like a pretty good slate this year for them.
What they have done is offer a lot of recruits. What are you seeing from women's basketball out there as far as offers go?
Yeah, too many names to go through, but it's kind of a little harder with women's basketball. There aren't as many people writing about it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't have the same coverage as high school, like boys basketball, AAU stuff. They've got a lot of offers out to what seems like some pretty good players. I certainly don't know as much about it as I do on the high school boys basketball side, but I would say kind of, check out Twitter. It's tricky with a school like SLU because we have the name of a city, so we're a little harder to search. Yeah, if you like, I will put in word searches like St. Louis offer, and you wind up with some pretty weird stuff, a lot of real estate. But every once in a while, you'll kind of see a flurry of women's basketball offers. It seems like the staff's been really active, and they're working hard to upgrade the talent. So just a shout out to them and the hard work they're doing, and we'll be watching more closely as time goes on.
We talked off the podcast a lot about the resurgence of the men's soccer program, nationally speaking, and how exciting it is to have them doing well and in the national polls consistently so far in the early season.
Yeah, they've been as high as 16th in the coaches poll a couple of weeks ago. That was before the last few results. And we'll see where they wind up tomorrow, but they've kind of been in the 20 to 25 range, basically between the two polls. So it really is. I didn't know how much of how exciting that would be for me to kind of see them back in the mix. But it seems like the program is back on the rise, and it made me forget how much I missed it.
Yeah, I especially after last season when I was unable, I don't think I got to one men's game at home, and it's nice to go back and kind of get that atmosphere, and the atmosphere has been outstanding. I truly don't know how they do what they do with getting attendance to men's games. I legitimately, I'm not saying like it's shocking that they get as many or whatever. I legitimately don't know how they market it or how it happened, but the students have been fantastic. I mean, there have been more students at times they're actually now concentrating trying to get the students over to the other side and make a student section instead of just hanging out over, all kind of spread out amongst regular fans. So the atmosphere, it has felt like, more of a, I don't want to go crazy, but a pro level experience, I think, game day wise.
Sure. Are you finding that are the students outnumbering the general public, or is it
No, not even close, but
okay?
they are definitely making noise over there. They're making their presence felt. And, that core group of lunatics has done really well. I shouldn't say that. I just went against my biggest pet peeve. The core group of students that show up have been unbelievably loud and, put forth a lot of effort to try to give an extra little boost to the home field advantage. They had a few games while we were away. First off, Friday night, 9-3, a disappointing 2-2 tie against Illinois Chicago. This was a weird one because it was supposed to be played at Illinois Chicago, and let's not forget we had the scoop on this one. They moved it to, it was originally thought that it was going to be canceled. However, they moved it to St. Louis due to poor field conditions, which the rumor was that they were resodding the field at Chicago, which blows my mind that you're doing this, during the season, but here we are. Did you catch this game, and what did you think?
I caught part of this one, and unfortunately, what I saw was the early part where SLU looked like the more dominant team, and so I kind of, they were up 1-0 at halftime, and I was pretty comfortable they would tag on another one. In terms of resodding the field, by the way, I mean, that didn't stop the U.S. men's national team from playing on some pretty bad surfaces in NFL stadiums over the past couple of weeks, but I digress. And then, yeah, and SLU did tack on a second right in the 48th minute. So, this is a game I just kind of expected to win, but then UIC got one back less than a minute later, and wound up equalizing pretty late in the game. So I think you saw this one. So how did that come together?
The Billikens play a really fun, really exciting high press, and yes, their depth really does help them. It shines with that style of play, but they can lose track of that style of play once you get up and build a lead, like a 2-0 lead. And you can, fall into that trap of sitting back and allowing a team possession in your own half of the field. When you're high pressing, yeah, you're giving up possession, but you're also keeping them. You're making it difficult for them to get to the half of the field. So when you give up that half of the field, now you're sitting back and you're just allowing the UIC to get as many opportunities as their heart desires.
Right. So they wind up scoring, getting the equalizer in the 89th minute. Nobody scores in extra time. And I don't know, you feel like, I don't know, it seems like people came out of this one pretty disappointing, and it seemed like maybe the officiating wasn't the best either.
Don Tebow, my guy. I know him actually personally. Yeah, he was. I texted him the next day. I said, "You wake up from that nightmare you had last night." He was like, "I haven't watched the video yet," and he was pretty surprised that I thought honestly there were 2 PKs that he missed. He didn't think that the shove in on the, let's see, I'm trying to think, the left end of the stadium. I can never get my directions down, but there was a 2-hand shove, and he didn't think there was enough contact. But my point is, once your arms are extended,
Yeah.
that's a shove. I don't give a damn what the force is, but that's a shove and that's a penalty. And then there was one on the other end, I believe, earlier in the game on the other side of the field. I think John Klein went down, and it was a chippy game, man. Like, you go up 2-0, that you should win. You should finish off that game, no problem. And UIC wasn't that impressive. So, but that I think the biggest point is that you go up 2-0 and you don't follow through and win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, Leith and Klein, they both had pretty nice goals. Betcher assists on both of those. His name's all over every box score. He's having a big year. He's our top offensive weapon. So no surprises there. But it's painful to watch that happen so late in the game for them to get that equalizer. And it seems like we've kind of cleaned things up a little bit since then.
Yeah, come back and beat a middling Memphis program 3-0 for the 800th win in program history. That seems low, but then again, I really don't. I was surprised. I think that it was only 800.
They don't play that many games.
Right,
I think that's kind of what makes that kind of an impressive number. You have to think about like, the soccer just isn't a very long season. So I don't, and I should have looked up what the first year in program history was to kind of figure out how many wins a season is that, but it's clearly, double digits. And I can't imagine there are many other programs, with that kind of win total. So it's still a big number. So, nice to see.
Yeah, and Leith had a nice, or that, never mind, that was the game before, but Leith had a nice little celebration against UAC. But yeah, 3-0 win. Wilkinson goal in the 17th minute, assisted by Klein and Betcher. First career goal for the 5th year senior, which is very good to see. Memphis red card, Toby McCallum in the 66th minute. He had a yellow in the first half, and he got sent off in the second with his second yellow. Kevin Commodi, right at the 72-minute mark, a beautiful free kick.
Yeah, he hit that so perfectly. There's not a whole lot more to say except just go watch that one. He put it, nobody could get to it. Love the way that came off his foot.
Isaiah Parker goal in the 75th minute, and we're going to get into Isaiah Parker quite a bit in the next game. But he gets a goal in the 75th minute. Commodi gets the assist this time. Nice give and go set up by Schulte and Klein.
Yeah, just a ton of good passing set that one up. And Parker is turning out to be a nice little offensive player.
Yeah, Memphis had the 14-10 edge in shots, 5-5 on corner kicks. SLU had 11 fouls to Memphis's 10. So on paper, it looks like an even game, but again, you're going to get that when you play that high pressing style. It's going to look sometimes like the other team is kind of dominating possession, but in reality, you're giving them that leeway.
Yeah, and it's no doubt they benefited from the red card. Both of their goals came within 10 minutes of that, and good to see Chase Neese starting again. Played a full 90 minutes. He's healthy, so that's also pretty exciting development.
Yeah, that move specifically puts AJ Palazzolo, who's been outstanding so far. The transfer from Indiana, grad transfer to defensive mid. He can play both. I know he prefers to play center back, but he has been pretty good as a defensive mid in the last couple of games since Chase Neese came back.
Yeah, which is Wilkinson's natural position and a reason that it took him 5 years to get a goal. So nevertheless, great to see for him.
Yeah, all three of the goal scorers, first time goal scorers for the Billikens.
Yeah, awesome.
So as anytime you can spread out the wealth, it's big time. You know what we talked about a draw against UIC that was disappointing. I was incredibly impressed with their draw against Southern Methodist. That was Friday night. 1-1 draw. It starts out in the 8th minute. Gabriel Costa gets a PK. I thought this was kind of horseshit, to be honest. It was a bad call. Did you see it? Because I can run through it, but it
struck me as soft. But what stood out to you about it? What was on?
To me, I thought the contact was initiated by the swinging of the leg, like the shot attempt, and not by like trying to make a play on the ball. I don't know. It just seemed like it was incidental, and like the guy didn't have possession, was kind of just it didn't feel like the action was done by the defender. The action was done by the offensive player, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think the player screaming bloody murder and going down, put the fear of God into the ref. And even if he didn't see it, or maybe saw, the tail end, that's gonna get his attention. And he made the call, and they converted 1-0 in the 8th minute. So you get a little nervy, especially given that SMU's 8th ranked in the nation. But the Billikens absolutely dominated this game. Other than that penalty kick, I thought. Majid Marana gets a goal in the 37th minute, and this dude should have had two, at least two. The goalkeeper for SMU, Cole Johnson, was unreal in this game. For some reason, Billiken soccer on both sides have just either run into insane bad luck as far as shots not going in the net. But this time it was Cole Johnson was just outstanding. He made two just unbelievable saves to keep this game locked at 1. And he was probably their player of the game, I thought.
Yeah, I think he has to be. Marana, describe that goal to me, because I had to watch this one like through. I found it on like his Instagram or something, like somebody, taping, using his phone to record the highlights on ESPN Plus. It looked like the ball kind of arced over, like it was going to go out of bounds just to the right of the SMU net. And he kind of managed in traffic as he was going out of bounds to just tuck it in.
Yeah. That's about right. Yeah.
Behind his back. It was one of the craftiest things I've ever seen. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a great goal, very athletic play. If you guys haven't, speaking of athleticism, forget the goal he scored. Go back and watch the shot he got on net that Cole Johnson made the save on. I don't know where he came up with this idea. He really has been super crafty in his attempts on net, because both of those shots were just out of nowhere. Like he made it happen by with athleticism and skill. It was very impressive.
Yeah, and the one that stopped, I mean, as these guys go through the season and after the last two results, they've got to be playing with some more confidence. Some of those are just going to start falling. And this team has so much depth. We mentioned how many different names have been on the score sheet in the past couple of weeks. I think we're going to see some players like him start to kind of tally up some big goal numbers.
Yeah, I tell you who we mentioned it. I teased it a little bit in the previous game, but Isaiah Parker, man, I am so incredibly high on this kid. Absolutely just a stud. He is a very good player. He's only a freshman. This kid is going to be a star by the time he leaves St. Louis University. I cannot remember a Billiken, and I tweeted this out from the account. I can't remember a Billiken with the athleticism to be as quick and as fast as he is going downhill, but also the skill to operate in those tight spaces going downhill. You had guys like Adnan, you had guys like Christo. You also had guys like Davy Graydon. You had Alex Sweetens, but you've never had a guy that has the athleticism of a Christo and a Adnan with the tight space skill of a Sweeten or a like Davy Graydon.
Yeah, he's a joy to watch. Really going to be excited to watch him develop too. And I think Marana, a couple other guys are really going to start to emerge. Somebody like Betcher, who's a more experienced player, we know what he's going to do. But we're watching confidence grow in real time with some of these dudes. They haven't played that many games yet. And this is a really exciting team. And I think we're just scratching the surface here. This result's fantastic. It's one thing to draw against a lesser team at home, in UIC. That's a bit of a disappointment. That's one we should have had. That's one UIC stole. to come up with a point or a draw, I should say, on the road. Yeah. At SMU, which depending on which poll you like, they're number 8 or number 12 in the country. One of the top teams in the country. That's a really nice result. So this is exciting.
Yeah, you definitely and you can come away with that game. Yes, I think the only disappointing aspect is that the Billiken should have won. Not for spectacular efforts from SMU. One number that really did stand out to me in this one, and the play-by-play guys really hammered this one home constantly. Corner kicks, Billikens, I think up until the second half, I think SMU did not have a corner kick, but the Billikens had 13 corner kicks to 5 for SMU across the entire game. So the Billikens, again, they played a little more with the ball in this one. And while I do enjoy their high pressing style, it's really great to see the Billiken team come out with that confidence you mentioned to control the game against a team like SMU.
And I hope what you just said is their takeaway. Like, yeah, this is a draw against a team that was higher ranked, but I want them to get on the bus and then the plane ride home and think we should have won that game. That was our game. I mean, that's exactly how you want the players to feel.
And not in a disappointing way, though. Like,
no,
you want to get on the bus and say, man, we won that game. Like,
right.
We won that game. That was, and soccer's kind of notorious for like, yeah, we dominated them, man. Unlucky. But this really was we won that game. That penalty was kind of ticky-tack nonsense. We should have won at 1-0, and then we probably should have had 2 other goals if not for superhuman effort. So extremely happy with this performance, and I cannot wait for the bronze boot. It's Tuesday.
Yeah. Great tradition. I love that we still do this.
I'm so glad it's back. I think McGinty brought it back, or did Kalish?
I believe McGinty did. I think we've been doing this longer. Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's on Tuesday the 14th against SIUE, and we've got them at Herman. So, love the way this team is playing right now. SIUE is always a solid opponent, and it's an easier road game for them not to have to travel very far. When you're going 35 minutes or whatever, can sleep in your own bed. So they're going to be. They're a solid squad, and they're going to be a tough opponent. And bronze boot carries the weight of history and whatnot. I don't know how aware all the players are of that, but we as fans love it. So this is exciting, and can't wait to check this one out.
Yeah, unfortunately, SIUE has been, their record is not great. They are, I believe they are 1-3-1 on a 2-game losing streak. They lost to UMKC and Belmont most recently. They tied Wisconsin 1-1 in double overtime. That was a regular season contest. And if you recall, the Billikens played to a 1-1 draw no matter what against Wisconsin they were going to play 120 minutes no matter what. They beat Memphis 3-1 in an exhibition as well. So it's not as though this is going to be a pushover. And of course it's the old throw out the record books when these two teams get together. So I'm excited. I'm going to be there trying to bring, if you're going to go, try to bring your friends, man. Like bring people that may have not may have had a cursory interest in Billiken soccer or soccer in general, but haven't had a chance to check out SLU soccer. So that's my goal. I'm going to try to bring a few people, and it'll be exciting.
Yeah. And circling back to the whole, the fan experience, the atmosphere that we kind of talked about earlier. It's a low cost, low pressure outdoor environment. So if you're, a pretty COVID conscious person, it's, you can space out on those bleachers and have a nice night out, not too close to anybody else, and see a pretty good team play. That applies to the women's team too. So
Yeah, this may be an exception. This one specifically may be an exception. If I can recall in the past that they've filled the stadium for this game quite a bit. So
Yeah, that's
I
true.
know they try, but again, it's outdoors, guys. I mean,
Yeah, you'll be all
so
right.
it's not bad. Yeah, I'm excited. It's so much fun to have soccer. We've talked about it a lot. Is
Yeah.
that it feels like a big atmosphere. It feels like a happening. I had a thought, like it drove me nuts the other day, and we talk about merchandise a lot, but like you have a captive audience at these soccer games that again, low cost. It's not that bad to get in. It's $10. And can we get the team shop to set up a little tent? Like, come on, like we've got a captive audience. We could sell some Billiken soccer merch. Like, I mean, it feels like, we miss opportunities. And that's one of the things that drives me nuts sometimes.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody's listening.
We're getting closer to, we can't tell you when home field is going to drop, by the way, but we're getting closer to the home field drop.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting. I'm pumped about it. But yeah, SIUE bronze boot Tuesday, 9/14. Pete, I want to stop here for a minute and talk about these O snaps. Man, they are so versatile. From the actual grip part to the kickstand to the phone mount and charging dock. Not to mention they're magnetic, which I've slowly been finding a million ways that they can be useful. Make sure you go out and support the phone grip that doesn't suck. They support us. So head over to osnap.com. When you check out, use the promo code Midtown15 for 15% off your first order. I tell you what, these are great. They truly don't suck, and they beat out that that classic the standard grip that you may see out there in the malls. This is high quality stuff. They even have a Billiken blue one, which is what I have on my phone. I don't know if you can actually tell, but it's my disgusting phone. But yeah, go over to osnap.com. Women's soccer. It's the 25th anniversary season. We haven't really talked about it that much.
No,
that specific point. Sorry. Yeah.
There's part of me that's like, oh, that's great. The branding for this, by the way, is beautiful. The logo, the stuff they've put out it looks so sharp. But it's also kind of shocking. I'm like, 25 years. That means this program started like barely before I started at SLU, in the 90s. I started there in 01, and it's just like, really, just 25 years? I just feel like they've always had it because they were competitive when I was there. It was kind of it's always been a competitive program. So that's it's exciting. It's great to see.
Yeah, they were a very good program from Jump Street. You can still see remnants from that initial team. Janet Oberly, assistant athletic director, was one of the first Billiken women's soccer players.
Yeah.
So, SLU, that's one of the things that SLU has done right from the get-go is women's soccer. They've never really been I can't remember a losing season, honestly, in the history. I'll have to look back. I'm sure there has been one. That's 25 years. You have to be down at some point. It's just a law of averages, but rarely are they in the position they've been in this year. And I don't think it's an indictment on Shields or this roster.
No, the challenging season continues. It's, partially injuries, partly bad luck, and part is just inexplicable. Monday the 5th, they were at Purdue and took a 2-1 loss. Bree Halverson was back from injury, but on limited minutes. And all the scoring was in the second half, and SLU just unfortunately came up short. Yeah,
I think a lot of it is Katie Shields set up the schedule after, it's like last year she was kind of unhappy with the fact that they didn't really get a great schedule. And so she just decided to overcompensate and bring in everybody. We start off with, that 2-1 loss at Purdue. Didn't get to see that one because Big Ten Plus is a ripoff. Monday 9-5. Halverson's back. Limited minutes, but man, she does bring energy, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. And You always know when she's out there. She's just so solid from her position. Unfortunately, so Purdue goes up early in the second half. And then when they got the backbreaker in the 82nd minute. Both of them were headers off of far post runs from the left. One of the things we've kind of been talking about all season with this team is they kind of struggle in a few ways defensively, and one of them is just sort of if a team is really trying to attack them on the wings in transition, it seems like we have trouble. SLU has trouble getting back in position in time, and that kind of leaves them vulnerable. And that wound up being the case twice here. SLU did get one back in the 89th minute, with a little bit of pressure, but it was too little, too late, unfortunately.
Yeah, that was Emily Gaby got her second goal of the year in the 89th minute. Anna Walsh was the assist on that one. Purdue kind of dominated in shots, 16-7, 5 on goal for Purdue, 4 on goal for SLU. Everything though else was pretty evened up. SLU held the advantage in corner kicks, 7-5. Yeah, I mean, not much you can really go on about it. Purdue's a big time program. They're a Big Ten team. Big Ten women's soccer is very, very good. So, again, we're talking injuries. We're talking, just struggling in general, loss of I don't know. So,
Yeah.
The man, the next game on Thursday against Missouri State, a 0-0 draw. This is one you have to have. Unfortunately, a lot of this was just awful luck for the Billikens. Groark and Frederick didn't dress. Groark is, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Groark's out for the season.
It's her knee, right?
Yeah, she went down. It was a non-contact injury. I've seen her at the men's games, walking around in a brace, an e-brace with like the padding in it, and it's a mess, unfortunately. So Miller and Halverson came off the bench in this one. Billikens had 24 damn shots. Missouri State had 4. Corners SLU 11-3. SLU really does. The lack of finishing touch continues for the Billikens here. Vulnerable again, and we talk about defensive transition when opponents are attacking the wings. I swear this Missouri State goalie had a deal with the devil, because I can't believe how many times that the ball hit the post in this game, and how many just lucky, like the ball would just hit the goalie. She didn't know anything about it. I think one of the things that this team struggles with offensively is I think there's a little bit of a communication breakdown with this team. Just kind of and I don't want to say team chemistry, because I think it's a team that gets along, but as far as on the field, I just think there's something missing, and that may be the injured players. Players either, are a little selfish when they shouldn't be, and unselfish when they shouldn't be. So, I mean, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't at times.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of little things that have kind of, when you look at the results here, all their losses have come to sort of power conference teams, the schools with big athletic program budgets who you would expect to be good, or at least competitive and everything. And the teams they're beating are, from the Valley or whatever. So you're looking at these results, and they're losing a lot of games by 1, and they're not scoring. They're just not scoring this season. So I think it's a little bit of everything you're saying. It's, they have had some bad luck with injuries. They had some suspensions early, and it doesn't take a whole lot of personnel changes up top to really, cost a teams in terms of their scoring touch. So I don't know. You hope they kind of find it over the course of the season. And I think they should, as the A10 season goes on.
Absolutely. I think you see a lot of more or less what you're going to see in the A10 season with the games against the Missouri Valley. I think it's I think Katie Shields has done an excellent job of putting together that non-conference schedule that's gonna was it was gonna really challenge this team in a way that if it was a full strength team, this was gonna show you what we have against the best of the best.
Yeah.
But it was also gonna bring you down to Missouri Valley A10 level, and we know the A10 is not good at women's soccer.
It's a one bid league.
It's a one bid league. It's not good. So you get to see, how the other half lives at the big schools, but also you remind yourself that you can beat teams. You are really, really good and much better than what you're going to see in the Atlantic 10. So I think a lot of what drives me insane are these missed runs. The run's held up while the pass is made. They make the pass and the run is held up. Just that kind of disconnect that has really been there recently.
Yeah, I mean, but one highlight from this game, one positive note, Anna Lawler was subbed in. Right. It's her first appearance in a game since 2019. So that's huge. And if she can get back to 100%, that's a really big missing piece that they've had for a long time.
Absolutely. They bounced back though, today. We're recording this on Sunday per usual. A 3-0 win at Indiana State. This was a classic Billiken women's soccer. This was a what do they call that? A vintage performance that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, and a vintage road game playing on the football field with all of those stripes, and I'm looking down like is she out of bounds? I have no idea where I'm even supposed to be looking right now. I mean, they didn't disguise any of those football stripes, but yeah, this was great. Hannah Sawyer, a new name on the goal sheet, had 2 goals in this one, both in the first half, both off of really nice, aggressive long balls from Abby Miller. And she really turned on the Jets. Puzzling decisions by the Indiana State goalkeeper,
to say the least.
The first one, she came way out, and then the second one, she was playing a little too aggressive on it too, and Sawyer was patient and smart and just did what she had to do to bury it both times, and then Emily Gaby got a third goal for us in the second half. This is I would have absolutely taken if you told me this was going to be a 3-0 road win heading into conference season, 100%. This is exactly what they needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And 1 week from today, you mentioned heading into conference season, Dayton thanking their lucky stars that this is the only time they see the Billikens in the regular season this year.
Yeah.
As we mentioned, I think on our preview episode, our schedule episode, they got Dayton Sunday. So an exciting game. It's at Herman, so get out and support. That'll be a fun one. And I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It's the last team I would want to play in the A10. The team that they played beat narrowly 4 times last season. Has to be looking at this SLU team, licking their chops, thinking we can take it at them. We can get this one from them, even though it's at SLU, thank God. But Dayton has to be seeing this as their chance to beat a team that has frustrated them to no end over the last few seasons.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. One of the side notes of this game will be Katie Hauk getting her first chance against her former team after transferring in conference, something rarely seen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of transfers in women's sports in general, but that has been kind of raised a little bit in the last few years.
Right.
And she's back home in St. Louis and playing for the Billiken. So it'll be exciting for her, I think.
Yeah, good storyline, and hopefully she's got a big family who can make some noise for her out there.
So volleyball. I won't belabor a lot of thoughts. We've had a lot to go through, and we've got a lot to kind of go through. So I'm gonna, we'll hit some high notes, quote unquote. Billiken Invitational, man. This explain how these early season tournaments work as far as who you bring in and what they're meant for.
They are meant to pad your record and to give you some game experience and make you look good in front of a home crowd.
And the Billikens got second place in this tournament, and you should. How should you ever get second place in this tournament?
No, not in this one. Not with this lineup.
You lose to Arkansas State, a Sun Belt team. I believe a Sun Belt team, maybe worse than a Sun Belt. They have a great women's soccer program. Volleyball program is very meh. 3-1 loss against Arkansas State. 3-1 win though against Arkansas Pine Bluff. You expect that again. You should be 3-0ing these teams. This is not excessive expectation. I don't believe you should 3-0 teams that are below the A10. You beat Murray State 3-1. I watched a little bit of the Arkansas Pine Bluff game. And Mac Hill has really been a nice addition to this team. I will say that she's a freshman. She's gotten a lot of love from people like Kaija Harbison on social media. And she's been very good for a freshman. So seems like she has helped this team a little bit. Helped to take the pressure off Maya Taylor. Because I mean, Maya Taylor is gonna Kent Miller is gonna destroy Maya Taylor's shoulder in pursuit of a 500 record. He really is. Like, I mean, she gets like 50, 60 swings a game. Like, it's crazy. She gets no help, and it's so frustrating. But the Billikens, they moved on to visit Carbondale, 3-0 win. This is what you want to see. Good to get a road win, a 3-0 road win. I mean, that's good. That's good. I'm happy with that. You go to Missouri State, you lose to Tulane 3-1, 25-17. They take the lead, 1-0, and then drop 3 in a row. And I think this is indicative of the fact that Maya Taylor has no help, because you start off a game, you send Maya Taylor out there, she kicks butt for one set, and then Tulane adjusts and they win.
Yeah. Got her 1,500th career kill though.
Yes, she is great. Don't get me wrong. I love Maya Taylor. I love her talent. She is an incredible athlete. She deserves all the credit in the world for 1,500 kills, but you're giving her 60 sets a game.
Yeah.
She deserves all the accolades in the world for 1,500 kills. So congratulations to her. Honestly, I'm saying this with full seriousness. Congratulations. She is fantastic, but I feel so bad for her. She is a great talent and just gets no help.
Yeah, it's frustrating to feel like you're maybe not, you're wasting a talent by not supporting that. We've seen that in other sports here. We always said that about like Kevin Lish and Tommy Liddell, for example. Like those guys we've got these two special players and we just didn't build up enough around them. Yeah, I definitely feel for
her. Louisiana Monroe, they beat them 3-0, 25-21, 25-18, and 25-18. Taylor, 12 kills again. This is Kent Miller's 150th win as head coach of the Billikens. It does drive me a little nuts when they get excited over these wins, because I mean, 150 wins. You've been at the helm, since 2011. Your 10th season. We're celebrating 15 wins a season. I mean, I can't, man. Pete, I try to be positive, but at 15 wins a season, I can't do that.
A lot of 500 seasons. Yeah.
Missouri State I guess we were the marquee matchup for this tournament for Missouri State. Unfortunately, we didn't really come through. 3-0 loss, 20-25, 18-25, 25. Yeah, not good. The Billikens, I believe, are 5-5 overall. And they will go to play the GEFCE Bradley Invitational. Say that 5 times fast. Northern Colorado, North Dakota, and Bradley are on the schedule. Does not look like I'm guessing we'll only get a stream maybe for the Bradley game. That really bothers me about these tournaments, that not all the games are streaming, which I mean, I can understand it, but it drives me nuts.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would take that much resources or effort to make that available.
Yeah, I think that that the game against Arkansas State was supposed to be streamed, and then or there was a game, one of those games was supposed to be streamed, and then the men's soccer game got moved. And so I think there's an issue with I think they only have 1 or 2 streaming setups. Fun fact. So that's why you'll get one game to stream and not the other. And usually they will default to soccer, whether that be women or men. It doesn't really, it does not matter. We had some updates. This is kind of older news, but since we haven't been on baseball, just some kind of stuff to run down. Nothing really to discuss. They added Josh Turnock as to the coaching staff, IU grad assistant. Alumni update, James Norwood, who we saw had a cup of coffee with the Cubs, also had a cup of coffee with the San Diego Padres recently. He's with the El Paso Chihuahuas. I love minor league baseball names. 2 innings pitched versus the Nats and a 24-8 win. No earned runs in his call up to the Padres. 3 Ks in 4 innings pitched. That's nice. We don't get a lot to talk about Billiken baseball in the pros, so it's exciting.
Yeah, that's really exciting to see. Good stuff. Good for James.
Matt Eckelman playing for the Indianapolis Indians. 27 games, 37 Ks, 51 innings pitched. Miller Hogan, the Montgomery Biscuits, AA Rays. That's where he's at. Connor Lehman is with the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, High A San Diego Padres. Braxton Martinez, fellow Howell North Knight, with the Tri-City Dust Devils of the High A Los Angeles Angels farm system. Field hockey. I'm going to run through this. It's not super exciting. Obviously, they did put out a good showing at Ball State. My field hockey confidant tells me that Ball State is really, really bad. So they had a shot at this one. They did not make it happen. Unfortunately, I watched this one. It's a good game. I mean, UC Davis, they dropped that 2-1 in Columbus. It was 2-0 at half. Unfortunately, UC Davis caught one right at the end of half. That was kind of the backbreaker. Emily Wastel did end the Billikens season scoring drought in the second. Iowa event, Ohio beats SLU 7-3 on Saturday. SLU scored first in this one. So, we talk about minor improvements. So they scored 3 goals in this one. But again, the defense was not there. They had a big game today against Iowa. Again, Big Ten Plus, unable to watch it. A 10-0 loss. And this is one that I kind of want to talk about because it is wild. 40 shots to 0. 26 shots on goal for Iowa, to 0 for the Billikens. God bless both goalies. They played both in this one. Corners were 14-1 in favor of Iowa. They will play next Friday, or they will play next on Friday, 9/17 Richmond at Sportport. 0-6 on the season after the Iowa loss. Program's playing better. Every game I think stands for Iowa, but I think we can wipe that one off the slate. That's like us playing Lindenwood. Exactly the same. 10-0. 3 scores versus Iowa were sophomores and a freshman, 2 sophomores and 1 freshman. So slow build. This program is not, it's nothing. So there you have all the patience in the world, I think, especially in the second season. But I mean, it kind of is what it is. I think we just have come to the conclusion that it's field hockey, and not taking anything away, but it's not going to be a program that's going to be, pushed funding wise.
I think the detail that you left out that might be important for that Iowa thing is that they're the number 2 team in the country. So
Yes.
that it's not just that we went to play a Big Ten team at their place and spent the whole time in our half getting defending shots. It's just that they're the number 2 team in the country, and that's what it looks like when a field hockey program that's never been particularly well supported or competitive or anything like that doesn't have a deep rich history goes on the road and plays the number 2 team in the country. That's just, it's the basketball equivalent of what
Fordham
Duke was
playing.
yeah, I mean, it's just what happens. It's all right. So heads held high, and maybe they'll be more competitive in the A10 this season.
How do you feel about this scheduling this game for a team that's clearly out of their depth?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was part of, I don't know if they would call it an MTE or whatever, but we played Ohio there the day before, so I think it was to give them a couple of games and a little bit of experience. Whether or not Iowa was expected to be that good at the time that it was set up, I have no idea. But I mean, how a lot of those multi-team events get set up. We're just on the other end of it now. And basketball, we're used to being, a little more competitive in those. And we might play a quote unquote no-name team at home to start one of those off. And this is just what it looks like from the other end.
Yeah, it could really just, I feel like it has the chance to turn off players when you're already a team that struggles to score, and then you go out and you face a juggernaut, and I mean it can kill the love of the game. I think you worry about mentally how your team is going to take that, and I hope she put it in perspective I hope coach put it in perspective for the team. So yeah, I mean it's interesting to talk about. I think I enjoy talking about field hockey. I don't, because it's such a different view of college athletics for us, right? Like we don't get, like, we're lucky that we have a program that's never been, we don't have a lot of programs that have been historically terrible, right? So when you talk about field hockey, it's interesting to see a team that really doesn't have any institutional support, plays off campus, has to go through so much shit just to put the team on the field. And it's kind of like that documentary Pistol Shrimps on Peacock. Have you seen that one?
I'm aware of it, but I have not seen it yet.
It's a great documentary about a rec league women's basketball in LA. And it features a bunch of, there's the Pistol Shrimps that have, like, Aubrey Plaza is like the captain of the team. And there's a bunch of comedians and actresses on the team. And they've created this whole league from scratch. And like, they get big crowds. It's kind of fun. It's a great documentary if you have a chance to go see it.
Anyway, so you're saying our field hockey team is scrappy.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like a DIY punk, type program. You just kind of, it's kind of like I almost liken it to like a surf bomb, like, just kind of ride the waves, enjoy the sport. And hey, if you do well, you do well. If you don't, it's not expected. So, I think that's everything we got. Did I miss anything?
You didn't, although I did. I did get a text. I know this doesn't exactly go out live, but it seems like SLU did put a new basketball offer out. He's thanking, it's Max Lee Allen as the recipient of the offer. He's blessed to receive an offer from St. Louis University. Thanks to assistant coach Corey Tate for coming out today. And it looks like he is a big man, a power forward in the 2022 class. So he's a senior this year.
Okay.
And plays out at Sierra Canyon, which I believe is the
Jimmy Bell Jr. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry.
It's Bronny's team, right?
Bronny's team.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think he's actually, no, he has not updated his Twitter profile. All right, he's at Arizona Compass Prep. So yeah, so I don't think that's the same school.
So he's prepping a year.
He's prepping, yeah, but that's out in the Phoenix area, basically.
Jimmy Bell territory still.
Yeah, what was Bell's? I'm already.
Bell was Saginaw, Michigan to.
Yeah, but he did. Was it Compass or was it another one? Anyway, yeah, Compass Prep is one of the prep schools out there. So that just came through. Big man. I think that's kind of maybe where our focus will shift for this upcoming class. So I just got that. The other, just to like issue a little note on something we discussed earlier in the program. The women's soccer team, they did have one losing record in 2001, my freshman year. I guess I didn't remember that. And then they did struggle from about, they were just under 500 in 2009. And they did struggle basically until Coach Shields came in 2014. That was her first year, and they were just under 500 again. But they had some losing seasons in that stretch for about 5 years. And then she turned it around, and we see what she's done the last few years. So
we're taking applications for producers. If you guys want, if we're looking for a stat producer. So if you're interested, college students for experience, hit us up. We can't pay much, but we're cool dudes.
That's right. Yeah, we're scrappy. We're out here. We're scrapping.
We are the SLU Field Hockey of podcasts. We try hard. I love this picture that I had not seen this picture in a long time that Max Lee Allen put out of the starting five intro with the Flames. That is a dope picture that should be used so much more than it is. I can't believe how little I see that picture, but that is.
If you follow us on Twitter, if you follow sort of college basketball recruiting on Twitter, you see there's almost like kind of a template that every player uses. It's kind of like blessed to receive an offer from, fill in the blank school, and occasionally they'll shout out the coach or a couple coaches on the team. But it's pretty standard that they say that. And then it always interests me, they'll grab a few either stock photos. A lot of them like to post a shot of the inside of the arena, maybe a shot of a player they're familiar with who went there, maybe the school logo. But yeah, he made a choice. We'll retweet it.
Yeah,
because he made a solid choice for a photo there. I like it a lot.
He made it one solid choice and two iffy choices. Yeah, my favorite is when they grab the Vector logo.
Yeah.
And you get the logo with the checkerboard behind it. That always cracks me up. That's my favorite trope from that one.
They did not go very deep on Google.
Or they screen grab the photo instead of saving it.
Right.
They'll Google search and then they'll pull it up and then they'll like clearly just screen grab instead of just holding and saving. I don't know.
We don't recruit players based on tech savvy.
No, we don't. And thank God, because we'd probably be terrible. Guys, again, thank you all for listening. If you've stuck with us this long, which is shocking, go check out that Kevin Lish interview. Part 2 is out. It's awesome. So much fun. We tried to get it out. We tried to make a foray into new markets, Pete, with that one. We tried to get over into Australia for our listener base. Put it over on the NBL subreddit, and I got to take a look at it, but at our numbers. But we're working on a few interviews still, trying to nail down a couple people. I put out I shot my shot recently. I don't really want to say who, but they politely declined, and I can understand that. They had kind of I'll just leave it at that. But I like to leave our audience. I don't like to leave our audience in the dark, because I really do feel like they do help do producer work for us. And And like Travis Ford, like on Twitter, that they made that happen. So
Yeah.
I like to tell people that, that's what we're doing, and keep people abreast of stuff behind the scenes. Again, go over to osnap.com, 15% off at checkout, Midtown 15. They really are really good products. I if I didn't use it, I wouldn't tell you. And of course, home field drop coming soon. I think we're still talking to them. Hopefully we can get some sort of deal worked out with them for a promo code for you guys. Yeah, I'm excited for that. Pete, any last words for the people out there in radio land?
No, well, I always say no, and then I add something.
It's like when they ask you if you need a bag at the gas station and you're like, no, and then you think about it for a second. Yeah, I don't know why I said no, because I have like 15 items here.
This week I would just say, try and get out and support the soccer teams. I think it's a combination of, like I said before, it's not a super risky event to do. Go outside, see them on a nice night. And they've had some really good, I think there's a lot, like some pent up, demand for SLU sports. People haven't been able to really get out and see them. And then, they also happen to be some pretty good programs, even though the women's team has struggled. The men's team is definitely back, and they're going to be competing for an A10 title. So get out there and support the soccer teams as much as you can this season before it gets, too cold or anything.
They've really improved service for food at these games. They've added, a place where you can get food on the other side of the stadium, like a little pop-up situation. It's pretty big too. And then stands over on the other side outside of just that main concession stand. So they're really doing a good job to make the game day experience pretty cool. So yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and go Bills.
Go Bills.